Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Deaconess Elizabeth, and it is Friday, October the 28th, and I'm here again for your daily devotions. Today we are picking up where we left off. We are in Matthew, the 19th chapter, starting at the first verse. So if you'd like to follow along, you may turn there now. When Jesus had finished saying these things, he left Galilee and went into the region of Judea to the other side of the Jordan. Large crowds followed him, and he healed them there. Some Pharisees came to him to test him. They asked, "Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any and every reason?" "Haven't you read," he replied, "that at the beginning the Creator made them male and female, and said, 'For this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh.' So they are no longer two, but one. Therefore what God has joined together let man not separate." "Why then," they asked, "did Moses command that a man give his wife a certificate of divorce and send her away?" Jesus replied, "Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard. But it was not this way from the beginning. I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife except for marital unfaithfulness and marries another woman commits adultery." The disciples said to him, "If this is the situation between a husband and wife, it is better not to marry." Jesus replied, "Not everyone can accept this word, but only those to whom it has been given. For some are eunuchs because they were born that way, others were made that way by men, and others have renounced marriage because of the kingdom of heaven. The one who can accept this should accept it." Then little children were brought to Jesus for him to place his hands on them and pray for them. But the disciples rebuked those who brought them. Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these." When he had placed his hands on them, he went on from there. All right, so this is our reading today. Most of these verses deal with divorce and whether or not divorce should be permitted for any reason. And of course, the Pharisees are bringing this question to Jesus as a test for him. And they say that, well, Moses has allowed us to do that. What do you say? And Jesus points them to the beginning of creation and how God made them male and female, and that man would leave his parents to become united to his wife, that they would no longer be two but be one. And what God has joined together, man should not separate unless of marital unfaithfulness. Jesus points this out here. And so the Pharisees then ask why Moses allowed divorce. It allowed men to write a certificate of divorce and send their wives away. And Jesus replied that it was because of their hardness of hearts that Moses permitted it. But that was not the way that marriage was designed from the beginning. Marriage was designed for a man and a woman to stay united until death parts them. Unfortunately, sin has entered the world and sometimes causes these divorces. But Jesus says that unless it's marital unfaithfulness, that should not happen. So then he says that Jesus says that it is adulterous if someone leaves their wife and marries another for any other reason. And so the disciples say that if this is the case with marriage, then it's better not to marry because it's very difficult for this to stay true. And Jesus says that marriage is not for everyone. He's not said this is not for everyone. Some may choose not to marry, but those who can abide by Jesus's words and want to get married should be married. And then here at the end of the 15 verses that we read today, there are 3 verses where it says that people were bringing little children to Jesus to have him lay his hands on them and to pray for them. But the disciples rebuked them and were trying to send them away. But Jesus tells them the exact opposite and says, "Let the little children come to me, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these." And so this right here is why we do not keep infants from being baptized, why we believe that infants should be baptized, because Jesus encourages little children to be brought to him in this verse here. So. All right, so our hymn today is going to be hymn 864, Shepherd of Tender Youth, and we're going to sing the first verse. Shepherd of tender youth, guiding in love and truth, through conclude with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Well, thank you for joining me for today's daily devotion on this rather wet Friday. Just a few announcements coming up. We have this Sunday is a Reformation service, so we have lots of special music for that service, so we hope you're all able to join us for that. The Sunday after this Sunday, so a week from Sunday, will be when we observe All Saints' Day. So for those of you who have names you would like to submit for the prayers, you can email those to Pastor. There's an announcement in the bulletin this Sunday. I did not get it into the newsletter, but if you have names that you would like to submit for All Saints' Day, you may email those names to Pastor. And then as we are coming to the month of November in just a few days, we will be starting our Sunday School Christmas program practice on November the 28th. I believe that's the last Sunday of November, and then our Christmas program will be December the 18th, and that's for all of our younger children and all of our youth. Anyone who would like to be involved in our Sunday School Christmas program is invited and encouraged to join us. And then also November 1st is the first day that registration is open for Higher Things. So for our youth who have gone to the Higher Things conference before, or for those who would like to join us this year and experience something new, the early bird registration rate is available starting November the 1st, and we'd like to get registered as soon as possible to take advantage of that. So those are the announcements that I have for today, so I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Friday.